All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're peeling back the layers of Homer's epic, the Iliad. We're going to look way past the usual clash of bronze and the whims of the gods. We're getting into the hidden mechanics of honor and, perhaps even more importantly, the marginalized figures who literally foot the bill for this entire legendary war.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the plot of wrath. Then, the economy of honor. Third, we'll look at the role of women. Fourth, we'll dive into how they're trivialized and marginalized. And finally, number 5, beyond the battlefield.
Okay, Section 1. The plot of wrath, the surface level.
To really grasp the depths of this epic, we gotta look at it like a giant iceberg. Now, the tip of that iceberg, that's basically your high school SparkNotes summary of the 9th year of the war. It's a super rapid sequence of events. It kicks off when the Achaean leader, Agamemnon, insults a priest named Briseis, which, spoiler alert, causes a massive plague. So to appease the gods, Agamemnon gives up his own captive prize, but then he selfishly demands Achilles' captive, Briseis, as payback. Naturally, Achilles is furious, right? So he just withdraws his troops entirely. And this sets off a massive chain reaction. Huge Achaean losses, the absolutely tragic death of Achilles' best friend Patroclus, and finally, Achilles going on a rage-fueled rampage where he slaughters the Trojan hero Hector, dragging his body around until King Priam tearfully ransoms it back. So that's our surface narrative.
Moving on to Section 2, the economy of honor, the hidden mechanics.
So let's go one layer deeper beneath that surface plot. We have to ask, why is Achilles actually so mad that he turns down a massive payout from Agamemnon to rejoin the fight? For the longest time, critics have argued that Achilles rejecting all those rich gifts was just him being, well, totally unreasonable. Like he was having this massive psychological tantrum or just playing the brooding existential hero. But as scholar Donna F. Wilson points out, we've actually been reading Achilles' anger all wrong. It is absolutely not a tantrum. It's a highly calculated rejection of a deeply flawed, manipulative system. It turns out, the whole conflict between these two guys hinges on a sort of tournament of definitions between two very specific ancient Greek words. On one hand, Agamemnon offers Apoina, which literally means ransom. This is just goods given to redeem a captive. And crucially, paying it doesn't really cause the guy paying it to lose much social status. He saves face. But Achilles? He believes he was deeply wronged when Briseis was taken. He believes he is owed poina, meaning reparation or revenge. This is a payment that forces the payer to publicly admit they were wrong and suffer a huge blow to their status. So Agamemnon is basically offering Apoina as a sneaky little strategy to assert his dominance without actually apologizing. And Achilles? He's just flat out refusing to play along. So the big takeaway here is that Agamemnon is launching what anthropologists actually call a gift attack. See, in Homeric society, the hierarchy isn't set in stone at all. It's totally fluid. It's based on honor or timing. These warriors are constantly negotiating their rank through these super intense competitive exchanges. So by throwing immense wealth at Achilles, but calling it a ransom instead of a reparation, Agamemnon is actively trying to force Achilles into a subordinate lower rank. And Achilles brilliantly sniffs out this trap. He rejects the offer right away, because accepting the wrong kind of compensation would literally mean accepting a demotion in their society.
All right, Section 3. The role of women, the bottom of the iceberg.
Okay, we've talked a lot about ransom, revenge, and these crazy fluid honor economies. But in this grand game of male dominance, who exactly is being traded as the currency? Well, to answer that, we're turning to a really rigorous textual analysis published in the Lucca Journal of Pedagogy by Mashi Sheila M. Simmet. To truly understand the women of the Iliad, Simmet mapped out the female characters using a strict methodology. She carefully logged the concrete details, the actions, conflicts, and speeches right from the text to see how these women were genuinely portrayed. And the sheer scope of female presence in the epic is actually pretty staggering. There are 33 distinct female individuals in groups, split right down the middle between the divine and the human realms. But here's the catch. Despite those huge numbers, almost all of them are kept strictly out of the limelight. They are completely secondary to the main action of the war, just kind of existing on the periphery while the male heroes take center stage.
Section 4. Trivialized and marginalized, the feminist critique.
To see how this builds on that honor economy we just broke down, Simmet applies Kate Millett's theory of sexism from her 1969 work, Sexual Politics. Millett argued that male-authored texts often feature a really brutal and exploitative portrayal of female characters, basically pushing them to the margins and treating them as non-significant others. So Simak combs through the actual text of the Iliad looking for indicators of this exact trivialization, marginalization, and stereotyping.
And wow, the text provides some brutal, undeniable evidence for this. These women are constantly fenced in. They aren't treated as complex human beings at all. They're treated as ordinary objects to be traded. I mean, they are reduced to concubines like Briseis and Chrysases. They're used as servants like Hecabe, who just silently serves drinks in Nestor's tent, or even divine cupbearers like Hebe. They are literal prizes, gifts, and mere decorations given away just to negotiate that male honor economy we were talking about earlier.
When you look at it this way, the contrast between the two spheres is just jarring. On one side, you have the men pursuing unfading glory, intensely negotiating their heroic identities, and pulling off these complex psychological strategies to dominate each other. And on the flip side, the female sphere is defined entirely by subjugation. Women are war prizes, victims of divine fate, or they're just marginalized into roles of weeping mourners. Often they're defined solely by their physical beauty. So the high-minded ideals of these men are quite literally built directly on the backs of these stereotyped women. Let's look at some specific evidence right from the source. Take Helen. She is completely marginalized as just a plaything of fate. In one scene, Aphrodite literally forces her into bed with Paris against her will, all while this massive, bloody war is being fought over her right outside. Then there's Briseis. Achilles loves to claim she is dear to him, but later on, he openly tells Agamemnon he wishes she had just died before he ever took her. It completely proves his affection is hollow. She's just a pawn in his power struggle. And then you have Queen Hecabe, who is forced to tolerate her son Paris's destructive lust purely out of a desperate, overarching need to just keep her family alive in a male-driven war. Which brings us to Section 5, Beyond the Battlefield, the True Legacy. So as we pull back and look at the entire iceberg here, combining the literary with the social analysis, what does this actually mean for how we read the Iliad today? Well, our explainer shows that those surface-level battles of sword and spear, they are just the absolute tip. Step 1, we see the male rage. Step 2, we realize that this rage is fueled by an incredibly complex, toxic societal machine of honor and gift attacks. And step 3, the dark foundation of it all. This entire economy only functions by dehumanizing women, using them as the invisible tragic currency to keep the whole machine running. I'm going to leave you with this really provocative thought to ponder. If the glorious, immortal legacy of these heroes is built entirely on the silencing of women and the petty squabbles of a broken status economy, is Homer actually celebrating heroism, or is he painting a tragic portrait of a deeply, deeply flawed society? The next time you think of Achilles' glory, ask yourself, who really paid the price?